Hello everyone, and welcome along to a very, very special evening. It's our first time ever, it's Isla 1 and it's on Xbox, and it is an absolute pleasure to bring this to you. It is the Australian Grand Prix, the opening round of the championship, all those few weeks of buzz and excitement, waiting, and finally here in Melbourne the cars are coming out on track for qualifying. And alongside me to enjoy this experience of the opening race, I've got James. James, what a place to be. Finally it's arrived.
It's absolutely fantastic to be here, isn't it? It's going to be something special this weekend, this Friday evening. We are looking forward to this. We've been looking forward to this for, it feels like an eternity. But finally we've got here and we've got a full house today. This is going to be something special. Hopefully the championship will be as well. With 10 races, these guys are going to have to give it absolutely everything for all 10 of them.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. It is only a 10 race World Championship, 10 of the best tracks on F1 2017's calendar, and hand-picked by ourselves. The commentators were involved, a little bit of picking to try and get the most entertaining ones. Everyone clubbing together in Isla to get the best tracks, and we feel we have got a perfect 10 race calendar to give you the most excitement we can. And of course, up for grabs for the winner of this 10 race championship, the F1 2018 game. So plenty to play for, not only pride, not only the joy of winning, but the F1 2018 game as well. And what a grid we have as well, including many esports pro draft qualifiers, many finalists of course from last year's esports as well. So a really good grid for this first ever season, and drivers now beginning their laps. But let's have a quick look at that grid. In Mercedes you've got STSF1 Alonso and CRL Rosberg, you've got Dralix and ESR Verstappen in the Ferrari, you've got Gooch and OMG it's Joe in the Red Bull, you've got Danny M7, Mike Marshmallow in the Force India, Drawmaster, Langman in the Williams, TR Leopard V6 Racing in the Renault, TR Apex, EVR Morso in the Toro Rosso, TSR Bastek, oh, trying to get the names right of course, it's TSR Bastek and Ant Nats in the McLaren, VSR Smithson and Lexbox 1 in the Haas, and Hayden and the Dutchman 43 in the Sauber. What a grid it is, James. Is there anyone at the moment you could pick a favourite for this championship? There's a lot of good names in there, a lot of well-known names, isn't there?
We were definitely saying before commentary that STSF1 Alonso looks like the man to beat going into this, but we've got a fair few names of the old guard, haven't we? Danny M7, he has proven his worth in F1 leagues across Xbox, a fantastic driver and should be feared by many. Rosberg as well, definitely up there with some of the best. You've got to look at the other likes of Mike Marshmallow, who is a driver that hasn't raced in the league since last year. It would have been last year since he last league raced. So it's a massive race for him today. OMG it's Joe, again, another huge name to throw into the equation this weekend. Then we've got the dark horses of this season. Drawmaster isn't here today, but be sure to watch out for him. He will be one to watch in the coming races. Verstappen as well, the youngest driver in the field, only 11 years of age would you believe, but he is making headlines everywhere he goes at the moment. And of course you've got to look at people like Langman, who have done just what they need to do in the past, AOR Tier 1 drivers and more so, and V6 Racing. All of these guys we should watch out for because it's so close grid, as Alonso proves with his 21.2.
Yeah, I was riding on board with them there. Superb effort. 1:21.2. I've spoke to the drivers before the race. Before qualifying. I spoke to them. What will be the predicted pole time? And I was told that we are expecting something in that region. A 20.8 to a 21.1, 21.2 will get you pole. And then the early exchanges. Look at that. Half a second clear of anything that's been done so far. But of course, we still have 7 minutes to go in qualifying. We have got 6 times on the board. STSF1 Alonso on top, 1:21.2. CRL Rosberg second, 1:21.7, and Merso in third with that 1:21.8. So it's going to be extremely tight, extremely exciting, and we expect the strategy to be ultra soft tyre in the opening stint, and then on to a set of the soft compounds for a simple one stop. We've actually got a car in the wall there. Who's that? That's Ant Maz, as I was riding on board with Alonso in the wall. The exit of that fast chicane, that's a heavy place to go up. You don't want to be doing that as we go on board with Alonso as he comes up to the final couple of corners. Interestingly, James, he's decided to do 2 laps, has he? No, he's coming into the pits, but he was pushing awful hard there on that second lap, and you'd have thought he wanted to save the tyres, but apparently not. So good effort there, 1:21.2, first blood.
Yeah, it's pretty good at the moment. That 11-12 chicane coming out of the exit of the second sector, that is. Verstappen went off there as well. He binned it into the wall, but he hasn't retired from the session, only lost a part of his front wing. Joe goes P2 with a 21.7. That's a pretty good effort from Joe, but it's still half a second shy of Alonso.
Yeah, he's looking pretty strong, isn't he, Alonso, in the early exchanges. Langman's just gone up into 8th place with a 1 minute 23.212. And another time flying in there. Who was that? Moving up the order. Was it Mike up into 6th place in the Force India? We'll see how he can get on. And as you were saying, it's been a while since he's been involved in league racing. He's got a point to prove, doesn't he, James?
Absolutely right. I'm looking forward to seeing how that man gets on, because in 2016 his pace was rapid, up there with some of the best at times, Mark Marshmallow, and he needs to prove his worth again here. He hasn't got a long time on this game to do a bit of league racing, but he's got enough to prove himself. Danny actually, interestingly, slots himself into 2nd and Leopard into P3. So those two, as we said, they're ones to watch, and they're proving it here with 2nd and 3rd on the grid at the moment.
Yeah, they're taking their time to get the times down to try and match Alonso, but straight out of the box, what an effort that is. Straight out onto the racetrack and straight into the 121.2s, and no one at the moment able to touch it. Danny with a respectable effort to go 2nd, 121.5, and Leopard 121.6. I mean, no, Leopard is capable of a lot of pace as well. A lot of young drivers in here, the likes of Leopard, of course, the likes, of course, as you've already mentioned, ESR Verstappen, who is, of course, you could argue by his father. His father helps him out, young Bailey, and he's doing a fine job, and hopefully he can get himself out there and get a lap time on the board. I think I read earlier on they went karting, a little bit of a practice for the big race here tonight, so hopefully he can get himself up the order and into a good position. Actually, I believe that Verstappen was really high up in the time trial times to decide which league everyone went into. Of course, we had over 70 drivers signing up for the 3 tiers, and yeah, I believe Verstappen was up in the top 4 or 5 places, so that shows what he is capable of. As I ride on board now with Leopard, most drivers in the pits at the moment. Is Leopard going to complete this one in the Renault round the final couple of corners? And no, he is not. Into the pit lane he comes. No sign of a lap from him, but Alonso in control. There you go, 121 to Danny 2nd, Leopard 3rd, and Joe in 4th. Anyone so far that's caught your eye, done a good job? Anyone not so good so far, James?
You know what, I'm actually quite surprised with Leopard. Although he is a very quick driver, I wasn't expecting him to be that high up, P3. I definitely thought someone like Rosberg or Joe would get in between them. Mike as well. It's a good effort from him so far. Gorsh in 9th as well. Hayden, that's another shot in P10. Langman in 12th. I don't think a representative time from him though. There are still 5 cars who have yet to set their times in this qualifying session so far. So
I'm on board with V6 Racing. I'm on board with him now. He's about to start a flying lap and he is up against it. And we know that he is quite quick, don't we? I mean, he was qualifying for the races to try and get into the Pro Draft. So far, not making it, but he's got another chance at Monaco, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure he does have another chance.
No, I've heard that he's got a chance, yeah.
Yeah, so well, we'll see what kind of pace he's capable of as we ride on board with him now, up through the gears, into the middle sector of the lap in a few moments, not quite yet. And this high speed right hander, very easy to run wide through there. Vettel and Kubica once had a little coming together through there, into that first sector, 38, what was it, 30? I didn't quite see the time there as he goes alongside the lake on the right hand side, the Albert Park Lake, and then onto the brakes. High heavy braking. This is such a difficult corner to get right, but look at that, onto the apex and accelerating away. And again, you go past the lake on the right hand side, left as we look at it now, and down towards this high speed chicane. It really does separate the men from the boys, and V6 Racing pushing to the absolute limit through there. The back end stepping out. Oh, he must have had his heart in his mouth there as he heads now down towards these double right-handers and throwing it in. I like to call it similar to the 2 Lesmos at Monza. It's very similar that way. And V6 Racing running right out towards the gravel trap there on the exit. Final couple of corners up through the gears on the Renault. What can he do? Mercedes up ahead, that will not affect his lap. So currently 18th, no time on the board. Is he going to move himself up the order? He does, up into 8th position with a 1:22.0, but still STSF1 Alonso on top.
Yeah, Alonso, I think, backed off. I think he was on an out lap. He was about to go on to his fast lap. Traffic may have halted his charge. He will do another lap, it seems. He has got 3 tenths in the bag on Danny at the moment, who is also on an out lap. A lot of these guys, though, are going even faster. You should have expected these times to tumble, and now Alonso really cannot afford to get in any more traffic towards the end of this session.
Yep, we've got Gout's going quicker as well. He's about a tenth and a bit, nearly 2 tenths up on his current best. He'll need to find more than that to move up from 10th position through the second sector. He's found half a second through there, so currently on to possibly move into the top 8 is Morso has either retired. He's retired in the pits, so we need to see if we can pick up Gouch, who's coming towards the end of the lap in the Red Bull. Final few corners. The man, of course, that's responsible for setting up this ILR league on Xbox has done a great job, hasn't he, to get this all sorted.
Absolutely.
Really excited. Can he reward himself with a good lap round the final corner, using all the racetrack and more as he comes up towards the start-finish line? Where can he go? He goes 9th. He moves up 1 position. In the end, we've got, who else? Rosberg in the final corner. Here comes the Mercedes, currently 5th quickest, a 1:21.7. Can he go any quicker? He goes 4th quickest. He went a fraction quicker and just about jumped up 1 place. Has he got any more in his locker?
Absolutely, it's a bit of a shot. Well, Rosberg, half a second off his teammate. That is unbelievable speed from Alonso to just show you what he is capable of. And it's not too much of a surprise that this man is mighty fast around here, Alonso. He was proving every bit of it. Joe is around the final corner as well. He's exiting, and can he get himself anywhere near Alonso on the front row? Indeed he can. He's only a 10th off pole. That's a pretty good effort from Joe. He slots into second behind Alonso.
What about Danny? Danny coming towards the end of his lap, so Alonso starting to could be a little concerned, but I think he's 2/10 up on his current best, Alonso. He might be about to silence everyone in the pit lane, but he's running wide. He's brushed the wall there on his final lap. Is he now a sitting duck? Who have we got out there? Danny in the final corner. Alonso was about 2/10 up. Well, can Danny punish him for that error in the final turn? He can!
Yes, he can!
Of course he can! Alonso will be doing that. He made an error in the final corner. Danny came in and pounced in the Force India and moves up onto pole position. What a shock that is. We expected Alonso to breeze it early on in qualifying. He was well on top. He was looking good for that pole position coming out of the final corner there, but he brushed the wall and threw it all away. Now, Joe's in another quick lap, a full 10th up on his current best. Can he rub salt in the wounds of Alonso and make it no Alonso in the front row, no Mercedes in the front row? No, I think he's backed out of the lap. He has. So no, he will not improve. Anyone else out there? We're still waiting on a time for Verstappen, and he's out there now in the final corner. 19th at the moment. Where can he go? Is it going to be anything to near the front? It's the final time of the section, I think. Up to the line goes Verstappen, and it is enough for 8th place. What about Dralix? Is he on one? He's coming to the line right now. Where's he going to go? And I didn't quite see where he went. Did he improve at all there? 14th. He went 14th quickest. But there you go, right at the very end. That shows you how tight it is, this field. If you get it wrong, you're going to be punished. And Danny certainly did that to Alonso there, James, didn't he?
Absolutely. Look at the grid, actually. We'll go with you through it. Look at that. Only 300ths of a second between Danny and Alonso off the front row. Joe and V6 putting in a really late effort to go P4 on the grid on row 2. Leopard and Rosberg make up row 3, with Apex surprisingly up there in P7, with Verstappen in P8. Morso is on row 5 with Baztek. Gorsh and Mike out of the top 10 with Langman, and it is going to be interesting, isn't it? A lot of those cars, I think maybe the top 11 or top 10 were separated by under a second. So this is going to be mighty close come this race.
Oh, and now look, an extra little issue thrown into the mix. We have got rain here on Sunday for the Grand Prix, and this just adds another dimension to the first ever ILR Xbox race. We had a thrilling qualifying session decided right at the death by that super effort from Danny, and now we have a wet race, and the damp conditions are going to throw this right up in there. Remember, these drivers, no assists at all. This is going to be a tricky race, isn't it, James?
Absolutely, the wheel spin off the line, everything like that. It's, you know, it's only little things, but these guys will be thinking about that so much. Also, how long will this rain last? We have no idea. The drivers will all have an idea of how long this rain will last, which is a bit of a shame for us, but we're getting ready for that light sequence.
Yep, here we go then. Moments away from the start of the first ILR race on Xbox. Here come the lights. It's raining here down under. Who will be reigning supreme come the finish? It's lights out and away we go. It's a good start off the grid from the Force India of Danny. Is he going to hold on into turn 1? It looks like it. No problem at all. A wall of spray as he approaches the first corner. But Danny holds the lead. The timing screens are totally messed up for me. I don't know about you, but it is. Alonso pulling alongside now of Danny as he goes down towards turn 3. But I think Danny is going to hold on. There's contact there. And off the track goes Danny. Alonso, I think, has got wing damage. He does on the left end plate. Disastrous start. And Joe moves ahead with Rosberg and V6 Racing. But I think we've got some serious lag issues here. Do we? I think we do. Some serious lag issues. I'm trying to understand who's on top and what's going on. I think it's now sorting itself out with Joe leading from Rosberg. So a bit of a messy start there, James. V6 Racing third, Alonso down to fourth, and with wing damage, I believe.
Absolutely, Rosberg and Joe both going at it at the front, actually through turn 9 and 10. Looks like Rosberg's got a pretty good run on him as they head towards turn 11 and 12.
Yep, Rosberg all over the back of Joe, surely not into turn 11 and 12 of all places, not in the wet. He thinks about it, thinks better of it, but he's going to have a good exit onto the throttle nice and early. Joe's rear end squirming all over the place in the DAP conditions, but there's no way through at the moment, and he holds on in the red pill. But what a messy start that was going into turn 3. Alonso and Danny coming together, not quite sure what it was. Was it lag, or was it just a little bit too eager between the two drivers in the opening race as Dralix picks up a 5-second stop go, but Rosberg all over the back of Joe and having a look up the inside in the penultimate turn of all places. You very rarely see a move there. Now round the final corner, Joe's still just about holding on, and Alonso has been dropped with that front wing damage. He's got slight left end plate damage and he's beginning to struggle. Down towards turn 1, Joe still leads from Rosberg.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually these two got really close in AOR as well. They stayed so close together, Rosberg and Joe, throughout the entire first stint. So I expect the same in this race to come as well. Rosberg is still P2, looking for a move. Shutting the door is Joe. Can he get through Rosberg? It's side by side with him as they come in towards turn 4. He's going to get squeezed out by the Red Bull. But that's clean and fair racing, I feel, from the both of them.
Yep, that's what we like to see in ILR. Clean, fair, but hard racing. Hard racing we like to see, and that's exactly what that was. Rosberg asked the question of Joe, you know I'm coming, and Joe said, okay, I'll give you space, but you're not coming past, and Joe just about clings on for now. Rosberg second, Alonso in third, and surprisingly, dropping V6 Racing behind despite that wing damage, so he's doing a good job of managing that. Then it's Apex in 5th position behind them, then Merso, then Verstappen, who's now 7th, and Bastek in 8th. A lot of position changes. Danny went down a full 14 places on that opening lap. I do not know if he would come into the pits. Let's have a little look. He did not. Only Dralix came in, and when he did come in, he picked up a 5-second stop-go penalty as well. But back at the front, it's looking very close again, and Rosberg seemingly with a real pace advantage at the moment in these intermediate conditions. Joe, quite simply, does not have the confidence, and that's the advantage you've got in damp conditions if you're the car behind. You have a reference point. The car ahead is a reference. The disadvantage you have, though, James, is the spray. The wall of spray, you can't see anything. I've got a car on the wall, and that is Lexbox 1 out of the Grand Prix. And yeah, not how he would have wanted to start his season.
Absolutely, this is all playing into the hands of Alonso, I feel. These two fighting out the front is only going to allow him to close up the gap. Now, if he's got any pace without that front wing end plate, he's got a huge chance in this race with these two squabbling, but he can't afford it for long. There comes Rosberg again, and not quite making the move either there.
Yeah, incredibly close. Also further down the field, Mike Marshmallow and Langman doing battle, it seems, and has he got himself through? I think he has. Pardon me, that's a mouthful. Mike Marshmallow has found his way through on Langman there, up into 9th position further down the field, but we need to go back to the front. It is just incredible to watch this little duel. Rosberg, he's so aggressive at the moment. He's trying everything he can to get through. It's almost as if he realises that if he doesn't get this move done now, his teammate is going to end up taking the place later on, isn't it? It seems like that. He's so desperate to get the move done, James, isn't he?
Absolutely. In fact, I was saying how much he was closing in on him. It doesn't seem that as much as I first thought. It's 1.7 seconds. It's around 1.4 at the beginning of the lap. So there's still plenty of time to be found from Alonso, although he has got that pretty hefty wing damage. He's going to have to really fight his way through this, and it's not going to be easy for him. But Rosberg is going to have to do everything he can to ensure Mercedes get the best possible start to this ILR season.
Well, despite that minor setback for Alonso, it is still looking good, isn't it? I mean, 2nd and 3rd at the moment, but look at Alonso, he's under real threat from V6 Racing coming out that final corner, and that is one of the corners you will struggle most on this racetrack. At the best of times you find yourself understeering miserably towards the barrier, And V6 Racing tucked right up behind Alonso. We know he is no slouch at all. He is very capable of mixing it with these guys, and he will try and take on Alonso, who gets a little bit on the grass going through there, and now he might be a sitting duck. V6 Racing closing in at the back of that Mercedes. Here comes a Renault. Is he going to dive to the outside? He has a look, but nowhere near as aggressive as Rosberg's looking up in front, is it? As Verstappen is making another move. Look at that. No, he's not. He's having a look at Marcel, but can't quite get it done, and stays in 7th place with his teammate. No, it's not his teammate. That's Bastek right on his heels.
Yeah, it now does look like Alonso is very, very much a sitting duck. You're right what you said about Rosberg, though. He does need to get a move on. Of course, the front tyres are going to play absolute hell now. They're going to feel so bad because the front end of the car, obviously the dirty air just throws it up so much. And the wet as well. Just pure understeer in that Mercedes, unless he can do anything drastic to halt Joe's charge at the front.
Big rear end slide from V6 Racing there, as we need to go back to the leaders because they're at it again. And Joe just about holding on quite well at the moment on lap 4 out of 29, but it's not by any means comfortable. Rosberg just trying everything he can, and it's quite refreshing to see that, because quite often you see people biding their time, waiting for the chance, but he is definitely having a go in places where you wouldn't expect it, isn't he? I mean, he's tried the switchback already into turn 3, he's tried to go up the inside at turn 3 properly without any switchbacks, and he's certainly making Joe think, getting him nervous, and certainly putting the pressure on. And Alonso is not by any means sticking with them. 3 seconds now off the tail of them, and his focus is fully on that banana behind the Renault car of V6 Racing.
Absolutely, he will not want to be doing this. He will not want to be a sitting duck the way he is. He knows he's got the pace around this circuit. How about in the wet though? It doesn't look like he's got an awful lot of pace. Langman dives into the pits. He's from P11. He's now down all the way to the grid back of the field, it seems, around P16. That's nothing to do with this front pack though. It's an absolute train. It's a trolley train behind Alonso, who's currently P3. It's all the way down to at least, I think that may be it's about Mike Marshmallow in P9, or at least Bastek in P8. Yeah. This is an absolute fantastic squabble for it's the final podium position.
Yeah, who will be taking home the champagne? Who will be getting themselves a trophy in the opening race of the season? But Joe at the moment seems to have maybe stemmed the tide of Rosberg perhaps a little. Do you think maybe Rosberg's realised here, we've got a 3-second time penalty there down at the bottom of the screen for, how do you say that? Womson? Okay. Womson. We're getting there. It's a first race. We don't know all the drivers. We'll get there eventually with the pronunciations. But yeah. Oh, Alonso a little bit out of shape there as I was riding on board with V6 Racing. But no way through. I think maybe Rosberg, I don't know what you think, James, has realised here, I don't need to rush this. Maybe initially he thought he did, but now that he's seeing Alonso drop back around a second a lap, maybe he's thought, okay, chill out, make the move, make sure to you make it stick nice and clean, and you're going to win the race. Maybe he felt Alonso wasn't wounded, and he had to get the move done before Alonso came charging back. That's probably how it's went, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you look at Joe actually, his setup on his car is very oversteery, so he just bolts in the fastest lap with 37.8, but he does like an oversteery car, Joe. Whenever I've seemed to watch him, it seems like the back end on that car is dancing all the time. It does look like the same for Rosberg as well, so as soon as I've begun to ride on board with him. But yeah, he doesn't need to go for this just yet. He just needs to keep within tabs of Joe. He can afford to fall back, but he then can make it up again on the fuel. So it is going to be pretty close, I think, throughout this entire Grand Prix. It's all about the pits and everything like this. If this rain decides to stop, who's going to have the better pace in the dry is also the other question we should be asking ourselves. Yeah,
that's another thing we do not have a clue about, but at the moment it certainly seems like the race is going to be between Joe and Rosberg as that gap continues to mount and the frustration continues to mount for V6 Racing. He's still staring at the back of that Mercedes and he's trying again for a little look into turn 9 and 10, but no way through there, and he remains planted behind him. And there's a big train, as you said, beginning to form. TR Apex, you've got Marshall, you've got Verstappen, Bastek, all in that massive queue, but it certainly looks like V6 is the most likely to make a move at the moment. Australia is a tough track to overtake at the best of times, but in the wet, when you don't have DRS, it can also make it even tougher for a move as V6 Racing tries again on Alonso, gets himself a little closer, locks up the front tyres on the way in to what is turn 13, now into turn 14. And Alonso, oh, look at the rear end! Oh, nearly went round Daniel Ricciardo style from the 2017 qualifying session, very nearly. As Smithson, further down the field, appears to have dropped a few places. Let's try and find out why. We've got a yellow flag. Where is he? He's went for a spin, I believe.
11 and 12.
Yep.
He's spun at 11 or exit of 12. That's probably down to traction. It's not a very easy traction part in the dry, so the wet is going to be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, just a slight mistake from Smithson there.
Yeah, either a mistake or contact, could have been either or, and that's a second victim down at the turn 11-12 chicane. We had one in qualifying, of course, as well, and now one in the race. But we lost Lex Box 1 from the Grand Prix, seemingly crashing into the pit lane entrance as Smithson nearly does the same on the way in, but just about gets it all together and will make his way back out on track very soon indeed. But back with the lead, it is Joe, and he's built that gap up to a not comfortable, but certainly a handy 0.7 of a second. Much more comfortable than what it was, and they've left Alonso for dead now, haven't they? 5.6 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. The pit stop window is actually probably more in Alonso's favour here, because you see the two Toro Rossos of Apex and Morso, they're right together. So if there is there is this chance of dry conditions coming through, and these guys decide to stop, that is going to be one hefty loss of time, it seems, for one of those two Toro Rossos. It will be more so to lose out at the moment, so whether there's any sort of team orders between the two Toro Rosso drivers will be interesting to see, as well as we go into only lap 7 of this Grand Prix. As actually V6 got a little bit wide, coming into what we would describe as the Lesmos. He's getting all out of shape. So keep an eye on that Renault, because he does not look at all in place at the moment.
Yeah, very, very wide, as you say. I just caught that on the stream, and he's now being swarmed by two Toro Rossos, hungry to take a bite out of that position and move up into 4th position, but at the moment there's no way through. And in fact, Merso's all over the back of his teammate going down towards turn 1. He's closer to Apex than Apex is to V6 Racing as they go down there, but no way through, as Rosberg seemingly has cut the gap down to 1 and a bit tenths, and he's having a look up the inside. Here he goes, slithering through into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix goes Rosberg. He's been trying that. That's a second or third time he's going to look up the inside, and finally it's worked out for him. He takes the lead away from Joe, who's left floundering down in 2nd place. What a move from Rosberg that was. He just tried it, slithered through in the damp conditions. Is Joe going to give him this pace? He had to give him this pace because the Mercedes was there, and up into the lead of the race he went, James. What a move.
Absolutely, Rosberg was not stopping that Mercedes down in towards turn 3 there. He was absolutely on it. Joe was always closing the door. It was tightening, but he just got his car in through, and he stayed past him as well, as V6 is in for a spin in P4, but he's kept it all together, and the Toro Rosso of Apex is through.
Yeah, and it's not worked out for Merso. He ended up clipping the sliding V6 Racing driver, and now Merso's got front wing damage as well, so all chaos breaking loose there. And absolute havoc. Merso really struggling, and that's now going to allow Verstappen to pull alongside him. Verstappen easily passes him with no problem at all, up into 6th place now for the youngster. And Merso is just a wounded driver at the moment. Mike Marshmallow now moving up past Bastek into 8th place. Absolute mayhem in this midfield battle, which has all been caused by Alonso and his front wing damage, and now Merso himself has got front wing damage. Will he feel the need to come into the pits and change it? Let's have a look right now. Is he going to dive into the pits? No, he's going to stick with it, and that suggests to me that this might be a straight intermediate to intermediate race, perhaps. Maybe that's what they're thinking. That why else would you come into the pits now? There'd be no point in changing the front wing if we're going to go to another set of inters. As Mike Marshmallow on the inside of Merso, who is really struggling up the inside. Through he goes, textbook stuff, into 7th place. Breathless stuff at the moment, James, isn't it?
Absolutely, Mike Marshmallow will be, I'm not sure whether he'll be happy with 7th at the moment, but he must be enjoying it because there's plenty going on around him. P7 at the moment. This man's been fondly remembered for going for championships in the past. I'm sure that's where he will be in not too distant future, is the words I'm looking for, as V6 gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Not ideal for him. It's now whether Mike Marshmallow can keep on tabs with Issar Verstappen in front of him, in fact.
Yeah, it will be a case of that, but I think the thing that V6 Racing will be looking at now with that penalty is getting himself back into that battle with Alonso and getting himself ahead, and then building that cushion with that penalty, because that's something he could do, because Alonso, of course, struggling, as we know, with that front wing damage that he sustained on the opening lap. Our pole sitter, of course, Danny, also suffered in the opening lap, dropped right down to around 15th place, and he's now managed to battle his way back up to 11th. All sorts of action in the opening race of the ILR Xbox season, a fitting race so far to start us off in these damp conditions. That brilliant pole lap in qualifying from Danny has been unable to be converted in the race. A shame, a bit of a shame really, because he did so well in qualifying, and Alonso as well. He's also suffering from that contact with that wing damage, but at the moment keeping that gap to Apex at around 4 seconds and clinging on, isn't he, James?
Absolutely right. There's a fair few battles, as we say, going down the order. It's a real shame for Danny. In fact, he's one who's making strides. He's trying to catch at the moment is Gorsh down there in the Red Bull in P10. Danny is right on his tail in the Force India. Not being the greatest of days for Force India so far, but I'm sure these guys will come fighting. They are very much within this chance for the Constructors' Championship, definitely. But you also want to be, as I say, watching out for the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes. They look, especially Mercedes in fact, they look absolutely incredible. That lineup is just so powerful with Alonso and Rosberg. So yeah, this is not going to be an easy one in terms of the Constructors' Championship, let alone the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, back to that from Rosberg, that was ruthless, wasn't it? It was such a good move. He lined it up twice before, once with a switchback attempt and once where he slivered just the way he did to get through, but it wasn't quite enough. But that was beautiful. And these damp conditions in the intermediate tyres offline, it's very tricky to get the braking point right, and he nailed it, didn't he? As we have another move, that's Leopard overtaking Merceau and moving up into 8th place. So Merceau, again, with that front wing damage, really starting to struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd go back on that Rosberg thing. I mean, it seemed like Joe was always shutting the door. He seemed to do that like a fair few laps prior to that as well. It almost just cut him off at the right hand, the apex, I should say. And yeah, that's ultimately what's costed Rosberg that position there. But he's managed to get through, and Danny's passed Gorsh, it looks like, for P10 in this race.
Yeah, that looked to me like Gorsh should just let him go, actually. He totally lifted off the throttle and let Danny move past him up into 10th place. Maybe Gorsh thinking that, yeah, he's not in my race, he's going to beat me come the finish. I need to concentrate in battling for the low reaches to the top 10 and grab myself a few points, because Danny clearly, with that pole position yesterday and his pace now in the race, really on a mission. But we need to go to Mike Marshmallow, who is battling with Verstappen on the edge of the turn 1. Look at this. Mike Marshmallow, as you said, he's been in the thick of it. He's been enjoying life out there, hasn't he? And now he fancies a little nibble at Bailey. He goes side by side with them into turn 3. They're banging wheels, and running wide goes Marshmallow, but he's going to have the inside. Does he have the traction? Does he have the grip to make the move into turn 4? It looks like he does. Up onto the curb goes Bailey, and Mike Marshmallow is through. That was beautiful racing, wasn't it there? Just. And Verstappen sliding all over the place, and now under even more pressure. Leopard, who's been basically flying like a leopard. He's just closed about 2 seconds in half a lap. And he's going past him. Look at that. Up into 7th place.
Absolutely incredible scenes there between Verstappen and Mike. Well, the two ends of the spectrum, really, in terms of age, but not giving in, an absolute no giving in between the two of them. It was ruthless. Absolutely fantastic to see. That's what we remember these two for. Ruthless racing, side by side through turn 4. I can't believe he found the grip coming through turn 3 just to maximise his run through 4 and get Verstappen on the exit.
Yeah, that karting line was going to good use there, wasn't it? Way off the track, on the marbles, and it just slingshotted out of there. And Verstappen almost caught by surprise into turn 4. Through he went, and Verstappen forced to bundle along that rumble strip, which is not what you want to be doing. And meanwhile, at the front, it's closed up again, around 4 to 6 tenths it's come back down to. So Joe rallying again, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier on. Sometimes you can deal with the spray coming at you, and the reference point you get from the car in front is far more valuable. And there you go, Rosberg running a little bit deep into turn 3, and there goes his reference point. That's the problem, as Danny now finds his way past Merceau, and Gauch as well, further down the field.
Absolutely, but the top two are now going back at it again. This is exactly what we wanted to see. It looked like it was just going to be a one-horse race from then on in, because Rosberg was pulling in such a gap on Joe. It doesn't look like he's going to give in now, does the Red Bull. Look at him go as they come towards turn 9 and 10.
Oh, look at that! That's very late. Oh no, that was never on. What was Joe trying there? He taps Rosberg into a half spin, and that was not acceptable. And I think he's going to do the sporting thing and let him back through, which he is. So that might spare him a penalty, but that might just allow Alonso back in. Well, maybe not with that winded car. I don't think he's going to be able to get back into it. And maybe that's what Joe was thinking. Maybe if I tap him into a small spin, I can get away with it. He wasn't obviously trying to tap him into a small spin, but if they make contact, they'll both get away with it and carry on 1 and 2, James. And maybe that's why he doesn't need to play the percentage game as much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a silly move, really, from Joe. It's not really the best overtaking opportunity he had. If he just sized him up through 11 and 12, just gave him the opportunity, he was going to try and go for it, you think. It's just got to set this whole end sector up so you can try and get them towards turn 1, which is just a far better place to make an overtake. V6 is actually up into P4. He's past Apex, who now drops to P5 in the Toro Rosso.
Yeah, I was watching that one. Apex didn't put much of a fight up for that one. Through went V6 with no problem at all, but he's let up the rear tyres coming out of that final corner across the line, but I do not think that Apex is anywhere near close enough to make a move going down into turn 1. Lap 13 out of 29, it's flown by. What a race it's been so far, and now V6 Racing is out of shape in turn 1. Apex all over the back of him, and he's coming back to Toro Rosso. Down towards turn 3 they go, underneath the trees, and towards the braking point they go, and I think Apex is going to have to give in on that one, and V6 is going to cling on to that 4th place. But what a race we're having, and Joe is Oliver Rosberg once again. But as you were saying, it was just a little bit too risky, wasn't it, into turn 9. I mean, I could see why he was feeling like trying it as V6 picks up another penalty, because Rosberg did it to him earlier in another place. But I think it was never on for Joe, wasn't it? Never on.
Absolutely. It could just be the pace deficit. Maybe knows Rosberg is naturally just quicker than him. So if he thought, actually, if I go for the move here, I'll just hold him up for the rest of this race and back himself into his, not even his teammate, Joe, be backing him into Rosberg's teammate and Alonso, which would have probably made matters even worse for him. But he's P2 at the moment, and don't be surprised if he goes for another lunge in this race.
Yeah, well, Rosberg's loving a lunge. He's made it work. Joe obviously didn't make it work, but they still have that 3-second cushion to Alonso. I mean, they can afford to take a little trundle through the gravel trap once more, I would think, but it's not really advisable, and the stewards won't like it either. So around the final corner they go, and Joe has just suddenly found pace from nowhere, and I believe it is all down to reference points and confidence, and he's coming back at Rosberg as they cross the line for lap 14 out of 29. We are very close to the halfway point of this Grand Prix. It has been an ILR classic thus far. Rosberg leads, Joe second, Alonso third. It's V6 Racing in fourth, with Apex all over the back of him in fifth. Mike Marshmallow, he's been involved in the thick of things. He's sixth, with Leopard all over the back of him, and that is one to watch right now. But really, we need to be watching the leaders. But I'll keep an eye on Leopard just for now, because he's right by Mike Marshmallow as they head towards turn 3. Is he going to make a move? Is he having a little look? Not quite, and a little battle beginning to develop there from 4th place down to 7th, isn't there? Renault, then Toro Rosso, then a Force India, and another Renault as we go back to the leaders.
Absolutely, this is great to see actually, Mike actually making strides up through the field. I didn't expect him to get much higher than even P6. I'm sure he'd be quite happy with that. That's no disrespect to him.
Sorry to come across on you there, Rosberg. Very deep into turn 9, and that's allowed Joe to get right onto his tail. They're going almost side by side down towards the high speed chicane of 11 and 12. But Rosberg, all out of shape, wide on the curve through 9. And thankfully, he lives for another day. Or does he? Joe, right up behind him as they go down towards turn 13 and 14. He's going to have to go to the outside. Can he sweep round the outside of Rosberg? Not quite. What about the switchback, though? He's going to try. Oh, look at that. Oh, not quite finding his way alongside. And Joe remains in second, remains frustrated. And believe it or not, Alonso is closing in at the moment with that damaged front wing.
Absolutely right. This is a ding-dong battle for the front. For P1 in this race, these two are going for it absolutely hammer and tongs. It's fantastic to see whether Joe can get this move done towards turn 3. He needs to maximise his run through 1 and 2.
Here he goes, down into turn 1 they go, and Rosberg pretty tidy through there, as was Joe, so it's going to be difficult for him. Can he do what Rosberg did to him earlier in the race and slither up the inside into turn 3? I don't think he's close enough for it, and he knows it and decides against it. What about Leopard? Is he close for a move on Mike Marshmallow coming out of turn 1? He's sliding the rear end of his car all over the place, and you know what? That aggressive style has worked. He's going to try a move on Mike Marshmallow, is he? Oh, not quite, and he has to settle in behind, and that's 7th place, and that battle continues to boil over for 4th, 6th, 7th and 8th. What a battle that is, but again, we have to keep going back to the front. It's so good as Ants Mats has now retired, and I want to find out why. Let's see if we can pick up Ants Mats. Where is he? He's in the pits retiring.
In the pit lane, yeah.
Okay.
Not sure what that's all about.
A shame for him. So out goes Ant Mats. He joins Smithson and Lexbox 1 out of the Grand Prix. We remember, we've seen Lexbox 1 in the wall at the pit lane entrance. We've seen VSR Smithson in the wall on the exit of the 11-12 chicane, and then retiring his car in the pit lane, and now Ants Mats has done the same. So we've lost 3 cars from this Grand Prix. We are now beyond halfway. It's CRL Rosberg in the lead, just from OMG. It's Joe in second, then a wounded SDS F1 Alonso in third. V6 Racing is fourth, some 7.4 seconds off of them. Then TR Apex is fifth, and now TR Leopard is sixth. He just appears to have made that move on Mike Marshmallow. We've never seen it, but we catch it now, and through goes Leopard up into 6th place, and he himself is on a bit of a charge as well, isn't he, James?
Absolutely. I was just about to call out Renault there because, to be honest, it looks like they may be one of the dark horses going into this season. Didn't actually expect too much from them. Wasn't too sure what to expect. But actually, that's a solid drive lineup when I look at it. V6 and Leopard, solid lineup. So it's definitely one to watch. These guys will be definitely more than capable of getting on the podium at points in this race, as we've got another retirement, and that is a name which I do not care to say because that is so difficult.
Womsen. Apologies if I'm wrong. Oh, I'm sure we'll send him a DM and make sure we pronounce it right for next week. Womsen. Okay. We'll try and get that one sorted. But I'll tell you what, James, I'm looking outside the commentary box window and I think I'm seeing some brighter skies. Some raincoats being taken off, and this rain might just be disappearing, and the track appears to be drying, doesn't it? So which tyres are we going to see next? Are we going to see the softs, the super softs, or those ultras? So I mean, in the dry conditions, it would be ultra soft tyres to start, then moving on to those soft compound tyres, but I don't think they'll need the ultra soft tyres. I don't know how long the tyres will last, but maybe a set of super softs onto the dry tyres. We'll have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's exactly that's what I was thinking. Super soft tyres, probably the best way to go. You know, you're definitely going to make it to the end, and the grip means that you're always going to be sliding about. So if you're on the ultras, you're going to be sliding a lot, and you don't want to really be forcing those rear tyres to be working too hard. You need to afford to be able to keep some temperature in those tyres. So super softs would definitely do these guys a world of good at this stage.
Yeah, they sure would, as TR Apex gets right onto the tail of the Renault of V6 Racing, and look, V6 Racing running wide, and now into the penultimate turn. Apex tries the outside, and you know what? That is a beautiful move from Apex, sweeping right round the outside of the Renault, as if he wasn't even there, and now V6 has to get defensive for his teammate, or is he going to let him through? I think that was a tactical manoeuvre, and allows Leopard up into 5th place, but what a move from Apex, round the outside of the penultimate corner. I've never seen that in my life, James. What a move!
That was absolutely fantastic to see, wasn't it? But V6 had a slight moment coming off the exit of the penultimate corner, in fact. And here goes Leopard again around the outside of Apex as they go into turn 3. Looks like he's going to just not be able to make the move stick there. But these guys cannot afford to be getting in too many squabbles. They know Alonso's got front wing damage, and they need to take advantage of that. So one of these guys needs to push on now towards the end of this Grand Prix, and hopefully when they get on those dry tyres, he'll be there to pounce on Alonso.
Yeah, Alonso, of course, winded, but he has that gap, doesn't he? It's really helping him a lot that Apex is holding him up. Well, I say Apex is holding him up. V6 really was holding him up a few laps ago. But now Apex is trying to get free. But I think if there's anyone that's quick at the moment, I believe of that group, it's Leopard. He's going like a steam train, isn't he? He's passing cars left, right and centre, slowly sliding his way up through the order. And I think if anyone is going to come charging in Alonso, it will be him. So Leopard, can he get enough? Close enough to Apex, not at the moment, as V6 Racing has just dropped right off the tail of those guys, and now not quite in the clutches of Mike Marshmallow, but he's heading that way, isn't he, James?
Absolutely. I don't know what it is with V6, but the rear just seems to end up just all over the shop, and it's looking the same way again as he slides so much. And pit stops coming thick and fast, actually. And this is ballsy because actually Rosberg hasn't come in, but Joe and Alonso both have. And he's making the front wing changes, Alonso. Huge strategic decisions in this Grand Prix.
Well, Alonso has gone for the front wing change, as you say, but he's also gone for the ultra soft tyres. 11 laps. Can he make them last? Joe has gone for the conservative option. He is taking on a set of ultras. They're all pouring into the pits at the moment. Who's that? That's a Leopard coming in. He's gone for super softs. Every single driver that's come in has put the super softs on, except STS F1 Alonso. Does he know something that the others don't? But certainly, the harder compound of tyre you have in these slightly damp conditions is usually the better tyre. It's a game thing. It's not something you'd see in real life, but in the game, it appears that the harder compound you have in damp conditions, the better. So to start with, Alonso will struggle, but later on he might do better as a Leopard slides really wide. I'm not so sure this is ready for dries, you know. They're all struggling out there. And the delta to watch is Bastic against Alonso. 1.5 seconds between them. Will that come down or will it go up? But they certainly look like they're struggling. It looks like it's going up, so there you go, it is the right decision. So is Rosberg about to relinquish that lead, relinquish the lead and give it back to Joe? It certainly looks like it might.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the one battle you want to watch out for now, actually. Joe and Rosberg, you really need to keep eyes on this because this will be so close coming out the pit lane. It was about a second when these guys came through. As the DRS has now been enabled, there's a slow Force India ahead. It's Danny, and Joe's going to make that move stick, and he's already passed Danny. I don't know what's gone on there, but he's lost a lot of front wing on that car. Rosberg's in the pits and back out again on super soft tyres. Here we go in the penultimate stages of this Australian Grand Prix.
Joe or Rosberg, who's going to lead this race? Rosberg's very near the end of that pit lane, you know, but he has to get up to speed. Here comes Joe down the start-finish straight. This is going to be very close. Joe has the momentum. Rosberg at the moment, though, has track position as he goes into turn one. He doesn't have the heat in the tyres, and he runs off the road, as you would expect, and with no heat in the tyres, and Joe gets the undercut to work. With Rosberg sliding off, Joe takes the lead away on lap 19 out of 29. Incredible. The race switches one way, then the other, and back in favour of Joe as Rosberg got all locked up into turn one on his cold tyres, James. It just didn't work at all. It was like an ice rink, wasn't it?
Did the pressure get to him there? Joe was just coming in like an absolute steam train. We've used it before to use against one of these drivers, but my goodness me, I'm sure I was not expecting Rosberg to go straight on at turn 1 and 2. That's a huge mistake that's probably cost him this race, although there is 2.7 seconds between them with 10 laps to go. It is still possible for Rosberg.
And not only that, in these dry conditions, I've just seen Leopard make a move into turn 3 on Apex. He is 3 to go charging after Alonso, but I don't think he'll do that now because Alonso has got a brand new front wing, as you alluded to, in the stops, James. Good spot. So Alonso back out there and on the quicker tyre. What kind of inroads can he make on Rosberg and Joe? Will be interesting to see, won't it?
This is going to be absolutely titanic towards the end. These guys are not going to give any quarter given, really. They're going to absolutely go for it. Apex is closing in on Leopard in front as well. A few battles as V6 Racing is behind Mike Marshmallow. Not sure whether that was down to the pit stops, but the Renault is looking feisty, and down the inside he goes, and he's not close enough to Mike Marshmallow in the Force India, and he holds P8 for now as V6. A good position so far to be in.
Yeah, he's running well. There's a good little scrap really developing between those guys, isn't there? Verstappen, Mike, and V6. There's also a scrap developing for the final point between Hayden and Langman. I want to keep an eye on that as well. Is Langman any closer to making that move as Hayden runs a little bit deep, struggling and maybe a little on those dry tyres? And now the Sauber is under real threat from the Williams out the final corner. Langman fancies that final point, and Hayden, who's been working so hard to keep it, is going to lose it. Here comes Langman up the inside as he goes into turn 1, and through he goes up into 10th place. A point for him. And James, there's nothing more crushing when you put all that effort into your race. When it goes all wrong, you come away with nothing at all, isn't it? That's the most frustrating thing, isn't it? No points at all.
Absolutely. I'm kind of shocked that Langman's only just got into the points in this race. I expected a lot more from him, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, because he's a pad user. And actually, let's ride a ball with Mike, because he's side by side with Verstappen as they come towards turn 9. Mike Marshmallow around the outside. Verstappen's still on the inters, believe it or not. Actually, is that true? Is he still on those inters? That's unbelievable.
No, that's not. That's a glitch.
Oh, it's a glitch. That's a show. Oh, well, there you go then. Mike Marshmallow slots himself into P6 in this race. A very good comeback to league racing for Mike Marshmallow so far. Yeah,
it was a lovely hustling, bustling move around the outside. Verstappen caught by surprise and almost dropped into the clutches of V6 Racing there, but thankfully for him, there was no way for V6 to find a way through as the top two trade fastest lap times. Is it going to be destroyed by Alonso in a few seconds' time? Nope, doesn't look like it. I was expecting it to flash up there as Danny picked up another penalty. His race has been a bit of a disaster, hasn't it? It's a shame for Danny, on pole position, looking good, and he's going to come away with absolutely nothing. Danny known for league racing, known for his consistency in AOR this season, picking up points all the time, but not so today. It's not worked out for him as well. A lot of drivers out there picking up penalties. V6 has got some amount of penalties to his name. Danny getting the fastest lap now, 27.3. I hope they can bring that to the game at some stage. You know, you've got the interval and things like that. You can adjust the tyres. I wish we could give a penalty counter without having to go into race director. That's something I'd love to see them bring into the game in the future. But yeah, if you're listening, Cody's bring that in as we go back to the action between V6 Racing and AAS Verstappen. Side by side they go through turn 8. Oh, very little room, but V6 Racing is through. Finally up into 7th position, and Verstappen, well, it was coming on the previous lap and nearly found a way through. On this lap he has found a way through and takes 7th place, and Rosberg meanwhile is really closing that gap down out front. 1.6 now between the front two, James. It's closing in.
Absolutely, that was only 2 laps ago. It's about 2.5 seconds, so he's found so much time over this last couple of laps. Leopard, in fact, has got a penalty in this race, so you've got to watch out for Apex making a move on him, because these two aren't far between each other, just 0.8 of a second at the moment. That gap will look to be closing down because Apex is on those ultra soft tyres.
Yep, the gap will close down, you would think. So Apex 0.8 behind Leopard at the moment. Leopard doing his best to close in on the likes of Alonso, but I don't think it's going to happen for him, as I was watching there Verstappen brushing the wall in that final corner and damaging his wing, and that will now, you would think, make him pray to Gauche behind, or Gauche, how do you say Gauche? Oh, I'm terrible at that name, absolutely terrible. Gauche, the Scottish thing, I'm sorry lads. Verstappen under pressure then, you would think pretty soon from the Red Bull, and Langman as well. He's not ran away from Hayden at all. Hayden clinging on to him in that battle for 10th place. But it's been great. I've really enjoyed this opening race so far. I mean, we're going to have to pick a driver of the day soon. That's going to be fun. No idea how I'm going to do that, but that's something we will have to discuss in a few moments' time, a few laps' time. But yeah, throughout the field, there's been battles going on. You've had the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th that was raging earlier on. We've still got battles for the final points and potentially a battle for the victory still to be decided as Rosberg continues to cut that gap. Mind you, it has steadied over the last lap or so. I tell you what, Langman has got an awful big train behind him for that final point. Look at this, James. Every single one of those drivers fancies 1 point, and we discussed it earlier on. You don't want to come into a race, do all that practice and come away with nothing. So the 4 guys chasing down Langman will all fancy a look at that point, and look at this. Here goes Danny charging through on Hayden. As Hayden ran wide, Danny swoops in to take 11th, and now, oh, he's coming back as Hayden up the inside. That was opportunistic, and thankfully they do not come together. And now Hayden's under pressure from Morsel, and Morsel goes through up another place. Hayden dropping like a stone, and now the Polish driver, TSR Bastik's on his tail. Absolute scenes in the lower reaches of the top 10. In fact, just outside the top 10, I should say. Incredible racing.
Absolutely, that's allowed Langman to just have a breather, think about what he's going to do now, because Danny is on an absolute charge. He's not coming away with this race with nothing at all. Starting on pole, he will not want to come away with here, finishing 11th just outside the top 10. We've seen it before in Australia. I believe the 2011 Australian Grand Prix, Paul di Resta managed to get the final point that day. It was an absolute ding-dong battle for the final point. Expect to see a similar fate here today between Danny and Langman for the final point in this Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, a Scotsman getting a final point in the last lap, yeah, that pleased me very much. I was very happy about that. But yeah, V6 Racing disqualified, and given the way he was collecting penalties, I am not slightly surprised by that at all. He was collecting them like he was doing a sticker album of some sort. You know, when you used to collect those football stickers, well, that's the way he was collecting them, and as a result, he is out of the race, disqualified. A black flag for V6 Racing, disappointing, and that only makes this battle for the final point even tastier. And look at this, it's now for 2 points, and Danny on the inside of Langman. Oh, look at that, incredibly close. We're 3 wide going into the penultimate corner almost. Incredible dueling. Danny holds on and takes 9th away from Langman, and now Langman needs to switch his attention to Mursel because he fancies taking that final point away. What a duel across the start-finish line for the final few points. 5 cars wanting 9th position. This is ILR, everyone. This is why there's so much hype about this league, because it's usually filled with thrilling action, as Gooch has now got himself ahead of Verstappen. And look at this battle for 10th position, and now Langman under pressure again from from Morsel, but no way through, and Danny meanwhile just up in front, running off the road. I'm running out of breath.
It's absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? There's so much going on in this just for P9. You'll never see cars fight so hard for P9. I don't ever recall it. I don't even ever recall seeing a black flag in a league race. I've never seen that before. So that's a huge, huge shame for V6. More so though, it's looking properly racy behind. Apex has passed Leopard for P4. Everything going on, all of the end stages of this Australian Grand Prix.
I wish I could watch that battle between Apex and Leopard, but no, I don't care if it's higher up the order. This is incredible. Langman versus Mursel versus Hayden versus Bastek. And look at this, into the braking zone for 13 and 14. Again, there's no changes there, but I think Danny has bolted. He is gone. Bye-bye, he says. I am taking this 9th position, and I've got a hat full of penalties too to try and break away from this group. So Danny on a charge as Langman Round the final corner, he's clinging on for dear life, but I think he's under pressure this time. Mursell pulls alongside in the run down towards turn 1. Is he going to make that move stick? In behind the Sauber looking on, but Mursell, is he going to deny Langman? They're banging wheels through turn 1, and now that should allow the Sauber to get himself involved as well. No, almost 3 wide in the run down to turn 3, and I think Mursell has got the job done. He has. Up he goes into 10th position as Langman and Hayden are now forced to squabble over 11th and 12th.
Yeah, got to watch Bastek behind. He's side by side with Hayden around the outside. He goes. Can he get it all on the road? Indeed he can. Look at them side by side as they come towards the end of the first sector. Still side by side, nothing between them. And eventually the McLaren has to yield.
What a race this is turning into. And the gap at the front is now only 3/10. What is going on at the front of this race? Everywhere you look, there's something going on. So let's go to the front. Joe has made an error somewhere on that lap and allowed Rosberg to close right in his tail. And with just 3.5 laps to go, we have got a thrilling climax to the first ever ILR1 race on Xbox. Joe versus Rosberg. Who's going to come out on top? I've got no idea, James. Do you?
I've got no idea. Rosberg has somehow found just 2.5 seconds from nowhere. I don't know where he's found this time. Watch this battle though. This will be, as I said, Titanic. Any words you can use to describe this. I've seen a fair few races on the PS4 side of this league, but I'm sure this would be up there with some of the best of them, because this is fantastic stuff. In the first race of ILR Xbox, stunning scenes between the top 2 in Australia.
Yeah, it's right up there. It has been another absolute cracker. And is there going to be a twist in the tail? Oh, there's lag there, is there? Oh, I don't know what happened there, but I think Rosberg got front wing damage as a result of a bit of lag, and that is a real shame if that is the case. That's what I saw on my screen, and Joe might be off the hook here. Is that what you saw as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a slight bit of contact through 12. I'm not really too sure, but look, actually, you can see it on Rosberg's car. You can see him understeer.
That's a shame. That's such a shame, isn't it? Gutted. And now that should release Joe to go on and take the victory. No, I can't believe it. So Joe now free in the lead of this Grand Prix with Rosberg second, and that is just typical. That is just typical, isn't it? The game has let us down with a little bit of lag. I don't know what's happened, but hopefully we can try and sort that in the future and try and smooth things out. It is, remember, only the first race, and has that killed the Rosberg charge? Only 6/10 between them, but I think it's all done and dusted for the victory. Alonso, by the way, he's closing in now. He's only 3 seconds off of Rosberg. Is Rosberg that badly wounded that he's going to have to worry? I'm not so sure. That's certainly one to keep an eye on. But who is the driver of the day? We have to discuss that. I mean, I've just opened up the chat. I've just opened up the Twitter. So it's on Twitter. I've opened up the Twitch chat. Everyone in the chat, if you feel you could pick a driver of the day, feel free to do it. James, I hate to put you in the spot, but at the moment, can you pick anyone? Who would you look at?
I'll tell you what, there's a fair few names. I'm going to be honest, I've looked at Mike, and that is a stellar effort from where he started on the grid. Really good effort. Joe's done a tremendous job. To be fair, although being quiet in this race, Alonso's gone about his business, and somehow, with a long spell in this race without most of his front wing, has done such a good job to just nurse that car to P3. He could still get second place. He could even still win this race, although that is a tall order from where we are now.
Yep, he could. But at the moment, yeah, there's that gap now, 1.5 seconds. It looks like it's done and dusted. And that's such a shame. I'm devastated for Rosberg if he's putting in such a good drive. Will he take Joe to the stewards for that move earlier on, where there was contact and Rosberg ended up sliding through the gravel trap? Perhaps he might, I'm not sure. But he did let him back through, and that is the key. I mean, if you let someone back through, they're being sporting. It's not going to affect the outcome of whether who finishes, if they finish any further down in first and second. So for me, in that instance, if I was a steward, I would let it go. I'd let it slide, because it didn't result in the two drivers dropping down further through the field. But we have to now go to Leopard against Mike Marshmallow. Is that another overtake from Mike Marshmallow? Or has Leopard got onto the tail of him?
Yeah, he's Leopard on the tail of him. He managed to get back past, I think. Leopard lost the position on the season, Mike. So I think he's just trying to get back past now, Leopard, for P5. Who, to be fair, himself hasn't had a bad race. He hasn't disgruntled himself. Really shown some good pace this Grand Prix. You've got to watch Mike though, because this is probably costing him driver of the day at the moment. Alonso is also closing in on his teammate Rosberg. I don't know whether there will be any swaps of positions. I don't see why, because this is the first race of the season.
A lot of people saying that, as Leopard picks up a 3-second time penalty, a lot of people saying Danny driver of the day for his charge through the field. Apex driver of the day being mentioned as well. V6 driver of the day. I would say that's a little bit controversial from it's me. Yeah, why not? V6, we'll give it to him. But yeah, it's just difficult to give it out. I mean, there's, for anyone wondering, there is the position change. I mean, if that's worth anything, because you need to remember where Danny's come from. He's come charging through, remember, but it's not. He's gone down 8 places. You've got Mike Marshmallow up 7. You've got Rosberg up 4, but that all happened at the start. It's tough. It is tough, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to have a think about it. But I'm keeping an eye on Leopard as he hunts down the back of Mike Marshmallow. I mean, there's going to be a lot of penalties to be added on in this race. I wish I could keep counting them all, folks, but there's been that many that I can't count. So I'll keep my driver of the day till after the penalties have been given out. And here we go. Oh, look at this for third position. Alonso onto the tail of Rosberg. Could you do me a favour, James? Could you tell me if Alonso has picked up a penalty yet for corner cutting with that damaged wing?
Absolutely. We've only got a few corners. Yeah.
Oh, he's
take a
right
look.
there.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's got a penalty, Rosberg does, and so does Alonso. So actually, he's 1 warning away, Alonso, from getting himself. Oh, yeah, there you go. There's the penalty confirmation from Rosberg, but I'm afraid it won't be enough.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it because we're in the final corner. What an opening race this has been in ILR 1 Xbox. It has been an absolute pleasure. And you know what? Oh my God, it's Joe. It's going to be the man that can take on the plaudits. He wins the first ever ILR race on Xbox. He is the king of Australia. He brilliantly does the job for Red Bull. And there's joy in the Red Bull garage. It's a close one between the Mercedes in second and third. Rosberg gets there ahead of his teammate, just about. It's going to be fourth position for Apex, and Mike Marshmallow is just going to bring it home fifth with Leopard in sixth. We'll wait to see how the penalties sort themselves out. That's a good result in the end for Gouch, isn't it? Up to 7th position. Look at that. Yeah. Good charge back through for him as Verstappen brings it home in 8th. And his penalty's going to affect that at all. Danny right behind him in 9th. And Merso is going to bring it home in 10th. Does he keep that point? No, he does not. Bastek, who was sitting at the tail of that little group of cars, wasn't he? Is going to collect the points. He must have been getting radioed in. Yeah, don't worry, mate. They've all got penalties. Just drive your own race and you'll get points at the finish. Incredible. So, good result there for Bastek to get that final point, wasn't it, James?
Absolutely, and the final car to take the checker flag will be Drelix in the Ferrari. Hasn't had the most exciting of Grand Prix, but at least he's finished, and 15 finishes is not bad at all, I'd say, for a evening's worth of racing. But a fantastic performance from MGH Joe and the Red Bull, just going out front, doing what he needs to do and holding those 2 Mercedes cars. That can't have been easy. He will need his team out of Phil in the future of this season, because there'll be plenty more of that where that came from, really. So we're about to see these podium celebrations now as well.
Yeah, look at that, delighted Joe. He takes the victory. It was like the parting of the seas down at turn 1, and now he can celebrate on the podium. Yep, they all parted at the first corner, or was it turn 3 I should say, but it all went wrong for Alonso and Danny. But Joe, he's not caring. He picked up the pieces and brought home the victory, beating Rosberg in what was a titanic battle. But it could have been different if it wasn't for that lag, you have to argue. But you have to also give a special mention to Alonso, who battled hard in that first stint with that front wing damage. Well, all the fallout of any lag or any incidents, I'm sure we'll hear a lot more after the Grand Prix. But there is your full Australian Grand Prix result. OMG, it's Joe wins in style by 6 seconds in the end due to that penalties picked up by Rosberg, so he probably would have won anyway. So yeah, Alonso 3rd position, Apex in 4th, Mike Marshmallow brings it home in 5th from 12th on the grid. Leopard was 6th, Gouch was 7th, ASR Verstappen came home in 8th, Danny M7 was 9th, and Bastek, of course, due to everyone else collecting penalties in front of him in that crazy duel towards the end, he got himself 10th position. That meant that Merso missed out on points, Langman missed out on points, Hayden no points, Kay no points, Dralix no points, and the rest didn't see the flag. But yeah, a really exciting, really fitting race to open up the ILR season. Some great excitement, great side-by-side action, and in a few moments' time we'll hear from the drivers on the podium. And I think actually we've got Joe with us right now. Do we, Joe? Are you there?
But let's hope it is.
Yeah, I think you're in. I think you should be. Hopefully the guys in the comment in the chat, the Twitch chat, can confirm that. In fact, hopefully they can confirm it. But anyway, I think you're here. But yeah, great job. You won the race. I've got to ask you. You must be delighted. It was like the parting of the seas down at turn 3 on the opening lap, and it all worked out from there. But talk us through it. It's a big move you made, a questionable move as well at one point. Are you worried about the stewards, or do you think you let them back through and that was okay? What do you think?
It was a bit of a weird one. So the start was a bit hectic. I got an alright start, and then me and Rosberg were out in the keeping the gap. And then he made a move on me, and I was not perfectly happy with it. And then a few laps later, he made a steward's investigation or whatever. But yeah, it was very tight, especially at the end. It kept pausing, so I don't know. I think I'm into turn 11. My wheel just paused, and I had and again on the penultimate lap.
Well, that ended up working out in your favour in style, because you did indeed give Rosberg damage. We felt it might have been some lag spikes or issues with the with the game, as you often get, or the connections. But if it was that, I mean, that's a shame, of course. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing Rosberg can do about that. So that is a shame. It sort of robbed us a bit of that great finish. But of course, Rosberg had a penalty anyway to his name, so that left you without a penalty and able to take the victory. So great job. You must be absolutely delighted to win from there. From where did you start? Was it 6th position, 5th position?
P3.
It was P3.
P3,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
it was Rosberg that started 6th, wasn't it? Yeah. Good job.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, great job. Well done. I don't think we've got Rosberg with us, do we? I don't think he's here. So.
Yeah, Rosberg's here.
Oh, he is here. Okay. Well, Rosberg, I want to talk to you as well. I mean, a great race for yourself as well. Unfortunate not to take the victory with that incident early on, but. What about your move early on in the race to make the move on Joe into turn 3? You were trying it a few times, had a look a couple of times. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good move. Joe, maybe not a lot happy with it, but I thought it was a great move. Talk us through it.
Well, what was going on a couple of laps before, I think it happened on lap 3 or 4, a couple of times earlier, was I was looking up the inside, perhaps make a move, and then he just moved on me on the braking zone. So, I mean, fair play. I mean, that's not really how it works, but I mean, if you want to move on a car that's nearly alongside you, that's fine. And then I think my move was fair. He started moving on me again, so at that point I just let go of the brake and just kept it going because I was a little bit annoyed at that point. And then when I had the leads, the first instance, well, I guess second instance, was going into, I don't know what corner it is, turn 7 or 8, I don't know. I broke where I normally do, turned in as normal, and then I've got someone entering my side pods. I spun out, then I don't really know what was, again, I don't know what was happening. And then again, it seemed like I got brake checked, and that got me damage. I didn't have a penalty at that point, so practically that lost me the race. So I don't know if I could have made a move, because people just like to leave when we spoke about not leaving the session for it causing slipstream glitch. So it's not like I had a massive opportunity to get him anyway, but I'm annoyed, to say the least. I mean, I think I had the win pretty much in the bag. It seemed like I was one of the quickest on track, so to not win is a bit of a pain, I guess.
Yeah, extremely frustrating. I can sense the frustration coming from you. So do you intend to make a stewards report? Is that something you intend to do?
Probably. I think I want it looked in a little bit more, because that's completely ruined my race. So I want that to be maybe looked over from stewarding. I don't know if anything will happen, but if it is true with this whole wheel pausing, then I don't know what will happen. But I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Hard luck. It's a sore one to take, but I'm sure you'll bounce back in the next Grand Prix. Good job on second, nonetheless. On to Alonso now. It's been an eventful evening for yourself as well. I mean, can you talk us what happened at the start? It just seemed like yourself and Danny got in a bit of a tangle. What happened?
Well, I got a decent start. Got on a good exit turn two. Was in the slipstream with Danny, pulled to the left, and then tried going back in the slipstream, and then he broke, and that's it. My wing was gone from then onwards, and then he went off, and I think he spun out right behind me. From then onwards, I just tried keeping up with the guys ahead, and I think I overtook B6 after he made the mistake and kept B3. And then I had to pull off a different strategy, went on the ultras instead of super softs, and I tried catching them, but my tyres died off the last fall up, so
Wasn't quite enough to get there. So
qualifying, they got blocked in qualifying as well, so that ruined me for the chance with pole. I was on for 0.8 or 0.7.
Okay. Well, that's a sore one to take as well then for yourself. So a couple of not so happy drivers, one relatively happy driver. We love a bit of controversy in the commentary box. Sorry, in the interviews. But Alonso, I mean, I'm going to ask you as well. Third position, did you think that was the best you could have got? I mean, you were under pressure as well earlier on the Grand Prix with obviously that wing damage. Did you think there was any more you could get out of the race after that had happened? To be honest.
Not with a broken wing, no. I think that's what I could have done. Just hope to try and make it, try and recover it from next race. No, I'm gonna definitely go for the win this time.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that wraps it up then. Obviously, a few drivers not so happy. One driver extremely happy, but of course they might go to the stewards. There might be some things to happen after. But we certainly enjoyed it, James, didn't we? Have you got any questions to ask the drivers?
I've not got anything to add after that, but yeah, absolutely fantastic race, wasn't it? Nothing to... You couldn't have written it better, I don't think. Absolute controversy, everything you kind of wanted. I'm sure it'll be one for the stewards to look at, but nonetheless, we've got 9 races of which this title. This is going to be some interesting fight, let me tell you.
Yeah, it sure will be. Well, can Alonso bounce back? Can Rosberg bounce back? And can Joe cling on to his victory? We'll find out in the aftermath. The fallout of the Australian Grand Prix. Be sure to follow ILR on Twitter to find out what goes on with that one. But it has been myself and it has been James. It has been a pleasure. Well done to Joe, who wins. Rosberg second and Alonso third. We'll see you for the next race next weekend, same time, next Friday at 8 p.m. Goodbye. And there we go.